about 5 a.m. day one. Neither Todd or I can sleep anymore due to some jet lag. It's 5 a.m. local time, which Central Time is, I don't really know, it's 4:30 in the afternoon or 3:30 in the afternoon or something along those lines. So I feel, I don't know, I've been all over the world and this is the first time I really feel like I have no idea what I'm doing. So that's interesting and good all at the same time, and hope that I can trust God and look for Him to speak and follow what He says. It's our second day in country, which is Saturday, I think. Don't really know, don't know what time it is. There's no clock in our hotel room. I always use my cell phone, but don't have that. It's kind of odd, because I feel a little disconnected, but I kind of like feeling disconnected too, so that's good. It was a really long day yesterday. We had flown in to New Delhi, and then yesterday morning we caught a plane to Siliguri. We went to a school. It's a for-profit school that they charge wealthy people to educate their children, and then the money that they get from that, they not only charge, or they not only educate the children, it also funds a large portion of their ministry and their pastors and whatnot outside of donations. And, so the school was interesting. They had a computer lab, which is very rare, I guess, and then they also had a music lab with keyboards and drums, and we had brought a violin as well, so that they can start teaching some other musical instruments. We had lunch there, and then we got in a bus and drove on a quote-unquote highway to where we're actually staying the rest of the week, which I have really no idea where we are, except that if you walk out the front of our hotel and you take a left, in about 100 yards is the border of Bhutan. So it's just right there. It's interesting. Yesterday was a holiday, Diwali, and it's a big festival to one of the gods, and so it was pretty much a party. And last night we went out and walked around. So down on the street, we're celebrating. Tonight is Diwali, so all around is all kinds of stuff and people. So it's pretty crazy. Lots of fireworks. Pretty cool. It was very, very interesting because if you had out your camera, people would run up to you and want you to take their picture and then see what the picture was on the LCD screen or whatever. And they'd want a picture with you, and then somebody else would want a picture with you. So as soon as you got out your camera, you were spending quite a bit of time just taking pictures of people you don't know, and they want to shake your hand. And it was interesting to me. One of them shook my hand, and we talked for a minute, and then he bowed and kissed my hand and called me boss. And it's just so interesting how there's like a built-in inferiority complex, that we are so much better because of, in their mind, that even just having their picture taken by us, they don't need the picture. That we took their picture gives them some honor or something that makes them feel better about themselves, or learning our name or something. But in their culture, there's such a large or a widespread inferiority to everyone else that they believe their people are trash, and that other countries, other people are so much better. And it's just a lie that's been told to them that they believe. And so it's interesting that we can take this lie and it will give us the opportunity then to put our foot in the door, that we can show up and say, hey, I'm an American, and they're going to drop everything, because no matter what they're doing, it's not as valuable as spending 5 minutes talking to an American. And it was pretty uncomfortable in the streets last night. We had stayed together, the 5 younger guys in the group, and at first it's kind of funny when somebody runs up to you and wants their picture taken, or is shaking your hand over and over or whatever. But by the time we walked down the street and back, most of us were feeling very uncomfortable. And so I'm interested to see how God will use that to change us and to change them, and just so anyway, we're in a hotel that's not necessarily rustic, but it's not the Four Seasons. It's the Best Western. It's not. I don't know. You can go to the bathroom, and when you flush the toilet, you'll get to see it again when it comes out the bottom of the toilet. So there's a drain in the middle of the bathroom. That's the shower. There's no tub basin. It's just the floor with a drain, and then there's a shower in the wall that showers down. So there's all that. All the water, of course, we have to drink is bottled and whatnot. So seen a couple of mosquitoes that are quite large, and I don't feel like I've been bitten yet, so that's good. I don't have any itchy spots, since I didn't take malaria medication, taking that little leap of faith, and hopefully can avoid that. But it's an interesting view outside the window, because it's kind of filthy everywhere. And, when people are done with something, they just litter. Just throw it out on the ground, and eventually they'll rake together a pile, or kick together a pile. They don't know what a rake is, of trash, and then they'll light it on fire and just burn it right there in the street. So plastic or paper or whatever, they just burn it all together. And so that's kind of interesting. It was a rough night. The party went on outside our windows. I don't know what time it is now. We don't have a clock, but the party just stopped not that long ago, and then they were lighting off fireworks late into the night, and they're blasting music out into the streets all night long. And I don't know if you can hear it, but there's music outside the hallway now. That's it. I'll take some pictures today, and we'll just see what else is out there. Sunday we went to a local church, and I gave the sermon. But my point was that we're all the body, we're all equals, we're brothers and sisters. And interpreter again, and the people were just looking at me. They just didn't get it. They just didn't get that. They were all sitting in the dirt, so that we could sit in a chair on a raised platform at the front of the building and be honored that way. And it's just incredible that it's so consistent.
Hallelujah, hallelujah.
We're partnered with a local person who is our interpreter. Mine's name is Paul. He's a good guy. I really like him. He's kind of a soft-spoken guy, but I can tell that he cares and that that his heart breaks for the people. So we were partnered with him, with our interpreters, and we went out, and it's so interesting because we're going to talk to people who've never heard about there being one God. They've heard about all these other gods all their life, every tree, every river, every um, cloud or goat fart or whatever it is a god. And the you go out, and they've very rarely seen an American, and they go and they take the chair for themselves and give it to you because they only have one or two chairs generally, and so then you sit on their front lawn or porch or whatever. There's no grass; it's all packed down dirt. Even the floors of their house is just a mud that's been packed down. And but anyway, so you tell a story through your interpreter, basically the beginning. So I start talking about that in the beginning there was only one true God, and go from there, that he created spirits, that he created the world and everything in it, and then he created man, that the spirits decided to disobey, so we sent them to earth, and they tricked man into disobeying as well, and that the one true God can't be friends with anything that disobeys him, but so on and so forth. And then talk about that he had a son, Jesus, that he sent to the earth. People didn't like him, they killed him, but he'd said he'd raise in 3 days, and after 3 days he rose from the dead. And because Jesus never deserved to die but did anyway, he chose to forgive mankind for being disobedient. And all we have to do then is choose to believe in the one true God and Jesus, his son, and follow what he says. And that didn't take even 30 seconds telling you, but it takes a half hour telling them through an interpreter and whatnot. And the first house that we went to, I do that, and the guy's just looking at me. He's just looking at me, and he goes, "I believe," and that was it. And it was just so simple and so ridiculous that I just really couldn't believe it. I was just like, this doesn't seem right. It's just too easy. And so I sat there, I was praying, oddly enough, that God would show me that this is not just because I'm American they're going to agree with whatever I say, or because I'm white that makes it right. And I just really didn't want there to be that doubt in my mind. So we go to the next house, and I tell the story again, and the guy makes fun of me. There's a drunk guy there that's, if Jesus was real, then why would my son have sores all over his body? And so then it was more like a slap in the face. It was more like, I'm used to this, that it was not the same. But so we talk to these people, and some believe, some want to believe, and some don't believe. And it really just reminds me of Acts, because those are the 3 camps there are. And a lot of times we'll go, and the man won't be home. If the man isn't home, then the wife or the children cannot make a decision without him making the decision first. And so, we faithfully share the gospel to a lot of people who say, I really want to believe, but I can't because my father's not home or my husband's not home. So that's, they take down their names, and the pastor will come back later. And us having visited and talked about it will give the pastor then a right to come to their house and talk about it. So that's kind of what we're doing. Yesterday was a rough day. I really don't know. One lady was very sick. She wanted me to pray for her because she was pregnant, and she couldn't eat. She had trouble in her stomach, and she was literally skin and bones. I mean, she looked like a skeleton with black skin on it. And she wanted me to pray, and so I went to touch her. I touched her shoulder, and all I could feel was the joints in the bone. And she was already a believer, but the church had abandoned her. That no one was coming from the church to visit her when she was sick. No one was coming to provide needs. The village is very remote, so doctors don't come there on their own. You have to go into town, to a town, and find a doctor. And of course they didn't have the money to do that. And we prayed, and after we left, I was just, I guess, beside myself. I really have never seen someone that was so abandoned in a time of need. And the church was failing miserably in that town. And that was just mind-boggling. It was very interesting because my interpreter was mad. It was he he's very gentle, he's very soft-spoken, but we come walking away and he's just shaking his head, and he's like, it should not be this way, it should not be this way. And it's funny because we came back to the church, which was our meeting place, which it's a home that they have taken over, and he immediately found the pastor of the church, and he was laying out the law. He was telling him, he was pointing out where those people were, that they shouldn't have been left, and that was encouraging because he knew it was wrong. And so with the very sick lady, I couldn't get her out of my mind. Here I'm supposed to be sharing the gospel, and yet there are all these needs, that being one of them. And so I asked Paul, my interpreter, I was like, will a doctor ever come here? No, it's too far out. I was like, okay, well, can they take her to a doctor? And he was like, they could, but they don't have the money, because they'll have to get a cart, they'll have to rent a motorcycle or something to get to town. And I was like, well, how much does that cost? And he was like, probably around 1,000 rupees. So 1,000 rupees is not that much. It's 40. I think we got 46 per $1. So I'm no good at math, but we're talking like $20, $30, $40, just to drive her into town and to have her see the doctor and come back. And I just felt convicted, and I said, we're going back to that house, we're going to go find that lady. And so we went and we found her again, and she was in the same position, laying on the bed. She had some family there that time, but it was a real surprise, I think, because she looked shocked when we'd come back. And so I was able to give her the money then, hopefully to get into town and to get whatever medicine she might need, and hopefully they'll follow through on that. But it's hard to say because she's just a woman, and in this culture, she's just a woman. It's not an equality anywhere. They're not equal with us. They're not equal with each other. They're not equal between husband and wife or children. And there's just such a clear division everywhere. And I don't know. It's why we're able to do what we do, but then it's also a major something that's tripping with us Americans with our head, because we aren't used to always being the person of honor, and most of us are getting to where we want to say, just stop, just stop, just stop. Well, it's Friday night. I'm in my hotel room in Siliguri, and tomorrow we're getting on the plane to go. The village we went to today, there were a lot of people that were, I guess you would say, very devout in their Hinduism. They didn't really want to hear the gospel. They wanted to hear the gospel, but they wouldn't leave the way the other people did. I think there was some bit of culture to it that probably the people in the other villages were lower class, and really the religion had done nothing for them, so the message of Jesus gave them a lot of hope. Whereas this class is very devout, they're very sure of what they believe in, so they don't see a need to change. They don't see any benefit in it for them. So the first house I went to today was a man and his daughter, and they were seamsters. They made clothing, and so the whole time we were there, they were working on clothes. He said they got special orders from the city, and they would sew those up and send them back into the town. That's how they made money. And we spent a long time talking. They'd heard a little bit about Jesus. Somebody, I guess, had come through town or something like that with tracts once upon a time. So they had very, very limited information. And so we were able to give them some Bibles in their native tongue that they could read. And we showed them some specific scriptures and worked through those. So it took an hour and 20 minutes at the first house, which is a long time. And so they wanted more information, so hopefully the pastor will follow up with them. And the next house I went to, the guy grew mushrooms, and that was how he made money. And they took straw, huge piles of straw, they cut it up real small, they put it into like a plastic bag and compress it down, soak it in water, and they puncture holes in the side. And when they put the hay in there, they put the mushroom spores, so the mushrooms poke out the side. And so then they just take and can just pull the mushrooms right off the sides, and more will grow. And so he had 200 or 300 ropes with just several of these bags hanging on them. And so he was very eager to show me how the whole process worked, and that was really good. And so he really was interested in the gospel, but his mother or grandmother or whatever matriarch was there, she was very hardcore Hindu, not going to have him, talking about accepting Jesus or any of this. And so she was yelling and screaming at him while we were trying to talk to him. And so he tried to get her to hush up for a little while and listen to a little more. And then we went to another house that it was several people in the beginning, and they kind of trailed off to where there's only 4 guys left. And we talked about America and how I live in the jungle. They don't have a word for the woods. So you either have the plains or the river shore, or you have the jungle. So they don't understand that you can just have trees without there being vines and snakes and crazy stuff like that. But I told them there was a lot of animals, and because I told them, that there are bears in the woods near where we live, and that we have deer, and we have described what a turkey was. They don't know what a turkey is here. So I had to, go, 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 act it out and all that, and always gets a big laugh. And then they asked me, aren't you afraid to live in the jungle? Because they just didn't get that it wasn't jungle. And, so it was interesting. And so we just went a half day today because we were headed to the market. And there was a little miscommunication, and they take us to about a 7 or 8 story Middle America mall. I mean, it had every kind of jeans and t-shirts and stuff you'd buy in America, jewelry and all this, CD shops and ice cream, and it was just like a mall in America. And it really struck me that we've done such an interesting job in exporting our culture, the culture of stuff, the culture of greed, the culture of comfort, but here we've not exported Christianity at all. And it really makes me look at my life and my surroundings and say, these people have all these gods that they worship. One that's like an elephant, or one is Kali with all these arms, or all these different gods, and they're sacrificing pigeons all the time, and they're screaming and throwing blood around and all this stuff that they, have all this stuff that they worship. And yet, for us, it's our stuff. In a way, it's like what we export, it is our religion of the country, and that's materialism. Materialism is a religion in so many ways. And so it's a seductive religion because it doesn't require you to give up church. It doesn't require you to give up, being a Hindu or whatever. You can be a materialist, and all it is greed. All it is what we want and have to have, and it's just so incredible that I look at things right now. I don't know that I still will for long, but it costs $600 American to support a pastor for a year, and they aren't making a killing. They aren't, living above the people they minister or anything. Probably a little below the people they minister with, but $600. And so you start to look at stuff that one of the people here brought in a distant cousin or something, and she had smuggled in all this jewelry from Burma, and she's like, avoid taxes, give you a good price, and so she had this gorgeous golds and diamonds and rubies and all of these beautiful jewels, and she had a necklace that was very pretty, and it was emeralds and gold, and it's $1,200, and that'd be a steal in the U.S., but it supports 2 pastors for a full year. And right now I just tend to think when I'm spending money that could do so much more than just satisfy what I want. And I think that may be, I hope that will be a change that lasts, that it's not just getting back to normal, because I know that's what people expect. It's what my friends will expect, it's what my wife will expect, it's what my family will expect, is that I'll come back and I'll look around church and say, why are we wasting all this money? People are dying all over the world without Christ, and we freaking have to have new chairs, or we have to have the best lights behind the stage, or the best sound system, or all this other stuff. We have to redecorate all the time. We, spend all this time and effort on stuff that's just how it looks, and it's just so sickening. And yet I know it will bother me for a while, but my fear is that it won't bother me forever, that after some time I'll say, oh no, it's good that we do those things. Those things matter, because we have to be presenting ourselves in a way that we can attract other people, and blah 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 blah. That's just crap, because nothing will attract people better than genuine, true, sacrificial Christianity. And yet materialism just reaches right into the church and takes hold of us in the same way. And so I think that may be something I hope I've learned on this trip, but that and there's just something about, many of us have talked about, that when we share the gospel, we tell them, hey, we have some good news for you. And you get through sharing the gospel, and many of the people are like, this is very good news. And we've just lost the appreciation of the simplicity of the gospel. That we were lost, nothing we could do about it. God still loved us and sent His Son. And because of that, because of our sin, Christ died. And so now when we accept Him, we're friends with God. I mean, it's so simple. It's so complicated in many ways, but it's really, the basic message of the gospel is pure simplicity. We had a need we couldn't fulfill. God loved us, so He fulfilled it for us. That's the gospel. And many people, when they hear that, they have joy. They know that it's important. And, we forget that. And, these people don't have anything. They have a house with made some bricks and some cow poop. And, I'm not joking. Everything here has to do with the cow and how it poops. Because the cow poops in the street, and the women go pick it up and put it in a plastic bag. They take it back home, and they throw big poop on the tree, and it dries out hard, and they burn it for fuel. Or they take the poop and they smear it over the ground because they don't want grass or weeds growing, and so the grass and the weeds don't grow in the poop, and you have this nice smooth layer of poop that's their floor or their ground. So you cook with the poop, you walk on the poop. They put it on the side of the buildings, so when it dries out, the building is more secure, so you're living in poop, and you pick up the poop with your hand,
So you're eating poop, and it really just boils down to poop, poop, poop. Everywhere there's poop, and it smells like it. It feels like it. You get back and you think, man, I just spent a lot of time in poop. But that's where these people live, and Jesus doesn't see the poop. He sees souls that need saved and people that he loves, and and I've really come to appreciate the ingenuity that who was the first person that decided, I'm going to reach down, pick up a handful of poop, throw it on a tree, and then I'll be able to cook with it later. I don't know how that stuff comes about, but there's not wood, so you might as well find something to cook with and keep warm and whatever. So it's just been an interesting trip. We're having a long travel to get home, which will be brutal, but it's almost dinner time, so I'm going to go, but that's what I'm thinking right now.